fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at 6 new Fortnite figures from Jazwares. We have numbers 278 through 283. You can see that this is part of Series 25. It's crazy to think that Jazwares has been making Fortnite figures for so long that we're in the upper 200s here in the 25th series. That's really, really cool. I found these at my local Walmart. I believe they're fairly new. Every once in a while, Jazwares has been putting posts out on social media saying like a new batch is coming, which is really cool because there's been kind of a scarcity for a while and I was really having trouble finding new stuff. And then apparently they must have made a deal with Walmart or something where they're starting to put out new batches at Walmarts. But I think there were kind of some stuff in the middle there that we never got. Like I know there were duo modes, which were 2 figures in one package. There were more in the emote series that we never saw. So I'm hoping that they eventually re-release those. I think they will. Jazwares knows about the distribution issue, and they're pretty cool about that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that that will eventually come out. I really like the emote series, so I definitely want more of those. But let's go ahead and check out the 6 that we have here. So we're starting with number 278. This is Hotwire. I'm not super familiar with this character, but it looks like he's got a car battery on his chest here. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have number 279, which is Malik. He was in one of the recent Battle Pass in the last couple seasons. I really like this guy. I like the kind of knight vibe that he has. And he's got a nice sword here. Next up, we have number 280, which is Grimoire. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hopefully I am. So this figure looks pretty good. Next up, we have 281, which is Moisty Merman. Now, this is a purple variant. I believe we've had this figure before in green. But if you have the skin in the game, he has, I think, 3 or 4 different color variations. So don't know if we'll eventually get all of them in the figure line. But here's at least one more color scheme for him. 282 is kind of a new version of TomatoHead. From that, I think it's from that season where everything was kind of primal. He's got like a crown here. It says, well, TomatoHead crown. It's made of utensils and whatnot. So I think it is a slightly different deco from the one we've had previously. And I think these are new accessories as well. We'll check that out. And then number 283, this says it is a limited edition. This is Gunnar. He was from definitely a few battle passes ago at this point. I think that was the, I forget what the season was called, but it was the one where the Imagined Order was like attacking with all the drill tanks and everything, Dr. Sloan. So definitely excited to get this guy. It looks like he's even got like an alternate head where he has the helmet on. And instead of just putting a helmet on, they actually gave you 2 different heads. So we'll have to check that out. But yeah, limited edition. I mean, they say limited edition, but I think for the Keymaster, I found 2 or 3 of those. So I don't think they're super limited, but he definitely looks cool. So I'm going to go ahead, get all of these out of the packaging, and then we'll take a closer look. So here are the figures out of the packaging. We'll start over here on the left with Gunnar. Might be my favorite from this lineup here. Honestly, this is a fantastic figure. It still boggles my mind that Jazwares is able to make these figures this detailed, this many paint applications, this articulated, and still keep them at the $10 to $11 price point. I don't know what kind of wizardry allows them to do that, but I'm very thankful for it. This is a fantastic figure. Taking a quick look here. Head sculpt looks great. He's got that amazing haircut. He's got all the fade on the back here. I love that. Really looks good. All of this detail and the silver paint here as part of his armor looks great. He's got all these like utility belt pockets here, which is fantastic. He's actually got a knife here on the back that you can actually pop out. And then he's got a gun here in the holster as well. I think that's really cool. 2 extra little accessories there in addition to the other accessories that he comes with, which I'll get to in a moment. Really, really just looks sharp. Now, articulation-wise, these are all pretty much the same. They have a hinge and a ball joint in the neck. Does he have... I think he has... I can't seem to... Maybe he doesn't have a hinge? Most of them do, but I don't know if he does. It's kind of difficult to see there. But either way, he definitely has a ball joint, so you can look side to side. You can look up and down a little bit. Head sculpt, I think, looks fantastic. You have a butterfly joint, as you can see here. You also have a hinge. Now, the shoulder pads get in the way a little bit, but you can kind of pop them up over so that you can still get that hinge to work. Of course, you have a rotation. You have a hinge and a rotation here in the elbow. A little stiff, but works. And then you have a hinge and a rotation here in the wrist as well. You can kind of see the little joint in there. It's very tight. I can't get the hinge to do much, but the rotation definitely works. You have a ball joint here in the abdomen. I think there's a waist swivel as well. His is kind of hidden by the belt, but there is one down there. It's a little stiff. Nice ball joints in the ankles, as well as a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. And then you have a hinge and a rocker in the ankles. So honestly, like I said, for 4-inch figures, the amount of articulation is insane. The accessories are amazing. The detail, the paint applications. This is an amazing figure. Now, this one might have a little extra love because it was the limited edition figure, but it didn't cost any additional. He looks great. Now, the one thing that's really cool is he comes with an alternate head. If you have this skin in the game, he does have a helmet. How this works, you actually pop this whole section out. And then you just take this section and you drop it right in. It can be a little difficult to get this in, but you kind of have to just like rock it a little bit and it'll pop in. And then there you go. Now he's got the mask, which looks amazing. Very Iron Man-esque. But I really like that quite a bit. And then you have the same level of articulation in the neck because it's actually at the base of the neck down here that pegs into the chest. So that's really cool. And then swapping them back out, very simple. And you can kind of hear that one clicks in a little bit better. The human head really clicks in and stays there. But, I mean, neither one of them falls out. So I think that's such a cool way to do that. Now, the other accessory that he comes with is his harvesting tool, which are these dual chainsaw pieces. And I'm assuming you just pop these over the hand. This one fits very snugly. This one's a little bit more difficult because this hand is kind of open. So I haven't really been able to get that on there. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pop the hands off. It doesn't really say. I didn't see any directions with the figure. But either way, pretty cool. And these are really nicely detailed and painted as well. So, again, to have the alternate head, 2 of these, the gun and the knife, I just think that is such a cool figure, and I really, really like this quite a bit. Let me see if I can go ahead and pop this little gun in his hand. It's a little tight, but I'm sure I can get it. Unfortunately, the handle of the gun is kind of a softer plastic, and he's got quite the grip, but you can see, you can get it in there. I just think that's really, really cool. I like that quite a bit. And then we can pop it back in the holster. I always appreciate when figures have, you know, holsters and things for their accessories. I think that's such a nice touch. And I really like that quite a bit. So this figure is kind of crazy amazing, especially for $11. I mean, that's just kind of insane. And I definitely love it. So, like I said, might be my favorite from the assortment. But let's press on. A lot of good other figures to check out here. Up next, we have Hotwire. And he's got this kind of taser harvesting tool here, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and take this out of his hand. Nicely detailed and painted. Really looks sharp. He's got some jumper cables here off the back, which is kind of interesting. I really like the head. It's translucent yellow plastic there to like simulate electricity. Even down here at the hands, which I think is really cool. He's got this car battery on his chest with the jumper cables kind of going around into the back where his armor is. Now this looks like you can probably pop this out, but I don't think you can, and it's kind of thin, and so I'm wary to continue to try to pull it out of there, but I don't think that pops out. I thought maybe that was an accessory like Gunnar's gun or knife, but you can see all the detail down here on the shoes. You got the paint for the laces. And again, all the same articulation. So you got the ball joint, the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, joint and rocker there for the ankles. Got the ball joint here in the chest. And you can kind of see the eyes underneath the mask. I think that's really cool as well. It's kind of just like a gas mask over electricity, like he wouldn't have a face otherwise, which I think is kind of a cool design. And even just like all this silver paint here on the mask looks really sharp. Just really highly detailed, and the paint applications are really amazing. So definitely another really cool figure here. Sometimes he can be a little top heavy with the car battery, so you kind of just have to find the right balance to get him to stand, but he definitely can stand. There we go. Next up we have Grimoire. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I like this pickaxe as well. I think this is actually pretty cool. It's got some translucent plastic here with the yellow paint over top, which looks really sharp. And then you have this little bit of chain down here. Really nicely painted and detailed. And then Grimoire herself has that kind of cool, like, running mascara look. Very, very sharp there as well. Got some tally marks here on the shirt. Not sure if that's people she's taken out or not. It's got the gas mask hanging down here. Again, just so much little detail molded in everywhere and painted. I love her shoes. They look fantastic. Really nicely done. And then she has all the same articulation. So you can see these definitely have hinges at the base of the neck as well as ball joints for the head. I don't know that Gunnar did, but most of these do. But yeah, she looks great. Really happy to add her to the collection. Next up, we have Moisty Merman. Now, when I first took him out of the packaging, I picked him up by the head and it was really loose. I thought I broke something. It's actually just a mask. So that is a mask. Kind of sits loosely on the head. Doesn't really connect in or anything like that. But really nicely detailed and painted. I mean, you got the tongue hanging out of the mouth. Just a really nice design here. The head is just a Jonesy head, but they gave him brown hair so that he looks a little different. I have a little bit of a plastic tag here on the side, but I can fix that later. But yeah, so his head, I think he's got a hinge. Yeah, he's definitely got a hinge. It's very snug, as you can see. It's very, not a lot of, it feels like the neck is very wide and the head is on there and kind of just barely fits. But it kind of makes sense because normally you're going to have this larger head, which is in more proportion with the rest of the body. Then you have these, like, designs here. Almost looks like a tree frog or something like that, which I think is really cool. He's got the fins here molded onto the arms. Now, he's got a video camera here, and I'm not really sure what that's about. Maybe he's making a monster movie or something, but his pickaxe is this old-timey movie camera, which I think is kind of cool. And you can see that the handle is really just the tripod. Then, like, you know, he's got something around the bottom to keep it all together, which I think is a really neat feature. Now, he's got all the same articulation. I will say there is something about his ankles. Like, I can almost kind of pull them out a little bit and push them in. So, I don't know what that's about. I was trying to move the hinge, and it started doing that. I mean, it's a little loose. He can stand fine, as you saw. And I love all the detail. He's even got more fins here on the back. But it's definitely just something to be a little wary of. Don't mess with it too much. It's possible that if you try to pull it too much or bend it too much, it could snap. But, I mean, it's a little loose, but it's in there. And like I said, he can stand, and I don't have any trouble with him standing. Just a cool look. I love the color scheme. I like the, you know, it reminds me of a Murloc from Warcraft. I know I probably shouldn't say a rival video game when I'm talking about Fortnite, but that's what it reminds me. It reminds me of a Murloc, and I love that. And I think that's really cool, and it works really, really well. Next up, we have Malik. I love this figure. I think this looks so cool. I love the knight motif that he's got going on here. He's got kind of like the coat of arms here as part of the shoulder pad. Then he's got this really cool cape down the back, which has some amazing paint applications. I love this guy jousting on the horse here. That's fantastic. The Lance gang. I think that's so cool. And I didn't mention, but they all have these peg holes on the back. So if you get back bling from other sets, they're all compatible. So you can peg those in there. But I love the armor here down the side. That's all really nicely painted and detailed. Again, I love the sword. I think that looks so cool. And then he's just kind of got like blue jeans, but he's got this cool armor here, which I think looks really sharp, and then just his shoes. But it's a really cool design. I also really like the glasses. I think they're done really well. You can see that it's a normal head underneath. The eyes are even painted. And then they did these glasses over top with this translucent plastic so you can actually see his eyes underneath. Really well done. And the hairstyle up here is also really nicely detailed. Just all in all, it's a really great figure. It's a fun design. I really like this one quite a bit. And then last but not, well, probably least, sadly, to go out on a bit of a lesser note. I mean, it's, you know, it's TomatoHead. We love TomatoHead, a classic character. This definitely feels like an older figure, though, whereas these kind of have a little bit newer engineering and things like that. Like, they have the ball joint, but then the thigh cut kind of covers the ball joint. He's got the old style of ball joint and then just a very obvious thigh cut, which isn't a problem. But then you can tell down here from the knees down, you know, this is the old Jonesy figure that they've repurposed a bunch of times with these same boots. So it's still a fine figure, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still a good figure, great articulation. The paint applications are great. He's very bright and colorful. He's got the utensil crown. It's very soft plastic, though, as you can see. I don't think it's removable. It's probably, well, it's pegged in here. It's probably pegged in and glued in there. I'm not going to try to bust it out. But yeah, so he's, you know, it's a softer plastic here, but it's TomatoHead. You know, they took the old figure, they worked this on. They did give him these cool little pizza cutter harvesting tools, which I think are kind of cool. They even have some cheese on there still, which is a nice paint application, which I think looks pretty good. But you can tell this is definitely like an older generation of figure, but it's still a good figure. I mean, it's got all the same articulation. It's solid, you know, for being an older figure. None of the joints feel loose, which I think is great. And he's very bright and colorful. So, you know, if you have a pizza, I keep wanting to call him Pizza Head. If you have a TomatoHead already, maybe you don't need this one, but it is, you know, part of the new assortment. And while it is an older style of figure, it's still a good figure. I mean, I don't have any complaints about it. So, honestly, all 6 of these are fantastic. If I had to, like, put them in order of my absolute favorites, Gunnar is probably number 1, with Malik being a very close second. They're both really great designs, and the accessories are fantastic. He just has more accessories. He's got the alternate head, so he's just got a little bit more in terms of, you know, accessories that I think put him a little bit over the edge. But like I said, Malik is a very close second. Moisty Merman is pretty great. Grimoire is pretty great. Hotwire's okay. I mean, I like the translucent bits that kind of make him seem like he's living energy, which I think is really cool. I mean, I'll be honest, they're all great. Yes, TomatoHead is probably my least favorite, but that's not to say there's anything wrong with him. He just happens to be the least exciting to me of this assortment. But there's just a lot of really great figures in this assortment. Like I said, I still can't believe Jazwares can put these out for $11 a piece, because they're very, very, very good. The amount of detail, articulation, paint applications, accessories, it blows my mind every time, and that's why I've been collecting this line for a while now, and I will not be stopping anytime soon. So definitely recommend all of these. Yes, TomatoHead is probably my least excited, but it's still a great figure. If you don't have a version of TomatoHead, I recommend checking it out. If you do, maybe you could skip that one, but definitely recommend everything here. Really solid figures. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.